On the Wake Up Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings. Excuse me. Hold up. Let me get my voice together. Pardon self. Greetings, friends, family, allies, and enemies. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. So I must admit, I was not sure, or I am not sure how many people will show up for this discussion. Y'all know we occasionally delve into politics, and usually when I delve into politics, there is an angle that affects Black people that is easy to see. This one, I'm not sure that that's the case. So, first of all, let me greet the people that's in the chat. BB48, Straight Black Pride of Brother Elijah, and BB48 to Brother Crow. I see a lot of viewers, but not a lot of people in the chat. So we'll see if that changes. Brother Elijah, can you give me a sound check and a musical sound check as well as we get started? So this is a show I was supposed to do, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago now. And I just wasn't feeling the show. And it's hilarious how things work out, because as I was delaying doing the show, apparently Nick Fuentes was on Pierce Morgan. And I have become aware of Nick Fuentes. Obviously I'm not a fan, but he does say one position that I know of that we agree, right? So because of that, I've been paying attention to Nick Fuentes, right? And so I heard he went on Pierce Morgan. I watched part of it. It's more hyped than substance, as far as like people being outraged and all this stuff. Because I guess once you get used to watching somebody, B48, Brother Tony, like when they come on, when you're used to watching somebody in their own environment, yeah, that's it. That's what it is. When you're used to watching someone in their own environment, right? When they come on mainstream, it's not, it's watered down. You know what I'm saying? So me seeing Nick Fuentes on Pierce Morgan wasn't controversial to me, because I've watched him on his own show and I know how he is, and I know what he says, and I know stuff he says to be controversial. And so it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like seeing, how can I put it? It's like seeing your favorite action star, and you used to seeing them in a movie and they shooting up people, chopping people up, and all types of wild stuff. And then they're in a kid-friendly movie, and people are outraged because they're in the kid-friendly movie, but you're just looking at it like, yeah, they're like, I don't really care. So that's how I kind of felt about the little bit of that Nick Fuentes, Pierce Morgan discussion I saw. So, and for those who aren't familiar with Nick Fuentes, he is, do I have him? I know I got an article with him, because that's what I had planned to start with him, but then I kind of forgot. Yeah, so this is him. Those not familiar with him, young white dude, maybe white Hispanic, because the name Fuentes is definitely a Hispanic name or a Spanish name. So maybe maybe a descendant of Spaniards. I'm not sure, but when I saw this article, I said, well, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Here's what's taking place in a nutshell, right? Because I'm not going to be on long because I done came down with something, so I don't know how long my voice will stick together. Here's what's going on in a nutshell. What's going on in a nutshell is the people who have supported Trump, the MAGA people, whether it's the young people like Nick Fuentes, the older people like Tucker Carlson, the black conservatives like Candace Owens, people in Congress like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the reason I'm naming these people specifically, these people who've been Trump supporters and at some point, sometimes Trump apologists have come to the realization that Trump is not. Now, listen to me when I say this. They've come to the conclusion that Trump is not MAGA. Now, I know somebody like, wait, what? What are you saying? I'm saying they have realized that Trump is for Israel first. And Trump is for making Israel great again, right? And so now you have, you want to call it a MAGA civil war, MAGA existential crisis, whatever you want to call it. That's what's taking place on the right amongst not just conservatives, but white nationalists, that whole far right and further to the right. You know what I'm saying? White nationalists, all those groups, right? They feel like Trump has abandoned them, so they abandon him. So the most public way is being seen through Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? The funny looking chick kind of look like a lion. You know what I'm saying? Like when I say everything, I don't know what's the name of the TV show. It was a TV show back in the 80s, I guess. Where the dude, it was like Beauty and the Beast or something. The dude had a lion face, but he could talk or whatever. Like, man, somebody look that up. But if you bring that picture up and you bring up Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, really, it's like the same thing. It's very weird. So every time I see her, it just weirds me out. But I'll give her credit. She took a stand. She was just like, you know what? My people in my constituency, because she's a Republican from Georgia, I believe. She said, let's see, is this it? Oh no, this is her. Oh well, hell, this is one. I mean, hell, gets no plainer than this, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now y'all look at it, y'all see what I mean. Questions if Trump is still the America First president, right? So I mean, that's a prime example of what we're talking about. And so she, is this it? I think this is the article. She voted to cut U.S. funding for Israel. She's like, hey, man. She said, I've talked to my constituents, right? And they're hurting. They don't have what they need to survive. You know, we got the healthcare thing going on. We got, just like, I mean, we all live here in America. Unless you're doing very well, then you know what's going on, right? The rent is too high. The food is too high. Rent and food are so high, I actually haven't noticed anything else. Like gas seems to kind of be a little bit lower. But, I mean, depending on where you live, it's like, since I can't afford as many groceries, I might as well walk and not even pay for the gas. You know what I'm saying? Catch the bus or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because the rent and the food, 2/3 of the food, clothing, and shelter is breaking your pockets. You know what I'm saying? God forbid you have anything that happens, like, I don't know, like you catch a flat, you gotta get a new tire or some other type of auto repair situation. Everybody knows that nothing dents your pocket like unexpected auto repair issues like that. Just everybody knows that, anybody that's ever owned a car that has had that, and you just like, bruh, you know what I'm saying? That's in this environment, that's gonna be financially back breaking, if I could say. So, she was speaking like that. She was like, hey man, Israel, people in Israel, they got free healthcare, I think they got free education. I mean, they got everything they need. Meanwhile, people in America, we got massive debt, 38 trillion, massive homelessness, massive drug use, massive personal debt amongst people. You know what I'm saying? The whole healthcare situation is shambles. I mean, America's in bad shape. Let's be honest here, right? Let's keep it a buck. And so to vote to give money to another country while your country is in shambles, I agree with her. Like, that is really insane. But this was from back in I think July, I think. But let's just read this real quick, because their thing was that she voted along with Talib and Omar, who they don't have nothing in common other than this vote. It says House of Representatives rejected cutting $500 million in U.S. funding for Israel hours after bombing the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza. Wait a minute, I ain't see that part. Well, see, now this is wild. All right, so let's stop right here. Wait a minute. Let's read this again, because I didn't know this part. House of Representatives rejected cutting $500 million in U.S. funding for Israel hours after the bombing by Israel of the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza. Now, I've been hearing for months now, maybe over a year, that Israel has been bombing churches in I guess in Israel or in Palestine, however you want to say it, right? And I even heard that they were bombing churches in Lebanon. And so, and I wish I knew with video, because it was, like I said, this was months ago. But basically, the people had came to the conclusion that, hey man, we think they're doing this on purpose. Now, I don't know. I won't go that far because I haven't looked that deep into it. But I wouldn't be. Look, man, listen. Can we be honest here? I don't put anything past Israel. Nothing, right? Because these people have been warring since before Israel was established. They've been over there killing people. Let's just be honest. The Israelis / the Jews, because Israel didn't exist, have been over there killing people and blowing stuff up and committing terrorist acts since before Israel was established. We've discussed this in previous shows. We've shown the different false flag operations and all. I mean, it's just a litany of stuff. I wish I could remember which show it was, so I could just put the link up here, but I can't remember. Right. So this is not new. But the fact that people who claim to be Christian will defend a country that's knowingly, apparently, bombing churches is wild. And it just goes to show the stranglehold that AIPAC and the Israeli lobby has on American politics, right? Because let's be honest, right? These politicians, they come up here and they like to say America is a Christian country and all that. Okay, whatever. Listen, y'all know me. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim anymore. I'm not a Jew. So, none of this stuff, all this stuff is whatever as far as I'm concerned. But I know one thing. If I was a Christian and you tell me that Israel's been bombing churches, man, how How am I co-sign that? You see what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna co-sign that. Like, how? And then you're gonna say these are the chosen people. How are these the chosen people? If you're a Christian and they're bombing churches, and they, of course, you read the Talmud, allegedly, they have disparaging things to say about Jesus, right? And this is in the Talmud. I think I actually put that up in a show as well. Now, could they say and finesse and say, nah, it's somebody with a similar name, but it's not really Jesus? They can say that in the public, but in the private, actually, they do say it's Jesus, right? And that he was a sorcerer or practicing witchcraft or whatever, and he's burning in excrement. That's according to the Babylonian Talmud. That ain't according to DC Radical 1. I'm just telling you what's in the book, right? According to them. I'm trying to figure out, as an outside observer, how are people co-signing and justifying this thing? So apparently what's happening is more and more people are looking at what's going on and they're not co-signing it. And so now we have a conflict. So let me get back to the article and we can move forward. Because like I said, this is from back in the summertime, right? It says hardline American firster and staunch Trump supporter Marjorie Taylor Greene, who voted alongside progressive, and put that in quotes because I don't know what type of progress he's talking about, Democratic Congresswomen Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar to strip Israel of $500 million in U.S. funding hours after they bombed the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza. The House of Representatives, however, rejected this in a vote of 422 to 6. Oh man. On Thursday, to cut funding for the Israel Cooperative Program, an agreement through which the U.S. provides Israel with $500 million to boost its missile programs. It is a separate allocation from the $3.3 billion the U.S. sends to Israel as quote unquote security assistance every year. So this is a whole different set of money. And so she's just going after the small money, her and this crew. They just going after the small money, say, hey man, let's slap them on the wrist and stop them from let them know that we don't approve of this. And so we're gonna go after this small money. And everybody else virtually said, nah, we ain't doing that. Right? So this shows you where the conflict is. The reality of the situation is, and I've talked about this extensively, is the Congress is bought and paid for by the Jewish lobby, right? I've had clips of Dr. Cynthia McKinney talking about how she was put out by the Jewish lobby. We talked about Cori Bush, how she was put out by the Jewish lobby. So it's not just a MAGA thing. They have attacked black politicians on the left and got them primaried out of their position. Even gerrymandering districts, because I think Dr. Cynthia McKinney's district was gerrymandered, and then she lost. So they made sure she was going to lose because, again, she was asking questions 2 decades ago about America's money going to places and America missing money and 9/11 and all types of stuff, right? So they like, nah, we gotta get her up out of here. So we don't really pay attention, but black politicians who are black, right? I mean, she was one of the last ones, Dr. Cynthia McKinney, and they attacked her, right? And again, this is the thing. We sit around and we look and we think, we would think that like Marjorie Taylor Greene or someone of that ilk, not say her because there's 2 different time frames, but we would think that type of individual is the reason why someone like Dr. McKinney's not in office. When no, it's not. It's not the white nationalists or the white supremacists like we would think. No, it's a Zionist. It's a Zionist that's paying for our people to get kicked out of office. It's a Zionist that's paying for our people to lose elections. It's the Zionists that are putting all their money against the actual black, quote unquote, progressive. And when I say progressive, as far as black, I'm talking about something different than what Democrats call progressive, because Democrats ain't progressing nothing nowhere. Like they have nothing. Like they have nothing, man. They have no playbook. They have no ideology. They have no philosophy. They don't have anything they believe in. And let's just be honest. If they were serious, the Republicans would be in trouble, because the Republicans have nothing. And that's the giveaway in politics, if we're being honest, right? The giveaway is that neither side has anything for the American people that they are supposed to represent. Neither side has any good ideas. I'll give you a prime example, right? Because we talk politics. I'll give you a prime example. The healthcare discussion, right? So the Republicans are largely, they're not united on this, but they're largely against extending the Obama healthcare subsidies. Okay. The Obamacare thing is janky. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. He stole the idea from the Republicans, which probably why it's janky and kind of weird, but that's, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother discussion, right? He got it from Mitt Romney. Okay. The thing is janky and kind of weird, and it's kind of unwieldy, and you know, it's not keeping costs down. And okay, all right, fine, that's cool. Most people that really look at it and know politics and kind of know policy, you can basically kind of agree that this thing is kind of right. Okay, fine. The point is, because we only got two major parties to vote from. The problem is the Republicans don't have no plan. That's the problem. And when you really pay attention to politics, that's what you see a lot of. You see a lot of one group having an idea or an ideology or philosophy, and then the other side having no plan. So they'll sit around and criticize what the other side is doing, and the criticism will be valid, except for the fact that they don't have no alternative. In this case, in what they call Obamacare, the Republicans have no alternative. They have no plan. They have nothing. Like they literally, I read and I ain't even bring it up because I didn't think I was gonna get into this part. But Politico talked about the fact that they sat up there and they said they badmouth Obamacare and this and that, and then Mike Johnson's like, yeah, and then we're gonna have our plan, and then we're gonna vote for it. And they said that most of the leading Republican people was looking around like, when? Huh? We got a plan? Where? Since when? You know what I'm saying? Nobody told me, like, we need to go back in chambers and have a discussion, because I ain't know we had no plan. Like, since when? And so, but you'll see it on both sides. You'll see the Democrats sit around and complain about what the Republicans is doing, and they don't have no plan, right? Like the whole budget thing. They held up the government. It's people I know that they're government contractors, so they short. You government contractor, you short. They out of work 6 weeks for nothing, because Democrats wasn't serious. They ain't got no plan. And I'm gonna say this: there's a book that outlines this type of strategy of manipulating the political process so that people lose faith in the political process and they look to outside forces for salvation. That's all I'm gonna say. Listen, y'all know me. If you've been watching me for a while, if I tell you that there's a book and I tell you about what's in the book, but I don't tell you what the book is, you know who the book is about or who wrote the book. Okay? The book is about the hats, man. It's a hat book. Okay? It is a hat strategy, right? That we see playing out. Now, when I first read it, I couldn't really see it, but now it's so obvious because no matter who's in office, the government never gets anything done. And then when you realize that both sides are being paid by the same people, then it becomes obvious, right? It's not rocket science. One thing that we know is no matter what takes place, Israel gets their money. You had a government shutdown. Did Israel get their money? Yeah, Israel got their money. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene like, hey, man, you know, Americans don't have enough so-and-so. And her, Ilhan, Omar, and them other people. Israel got their money. They voted 422 to 6. That is crazy. It's hard to find 422 people to agree on anything anywhere in America at this time. You have trouble getting 422 Democrats and Republicans to agree that the sky is blue. Somebody's gonna be like, well, technically, you know what I'm saying? So it just goes to show, right? It's bought and paid for. So anyway, do I want to read more of this article? Yeah, I'll read this. It says additionally, the April 2024 security supplemental included $8.7 billion for Israel. And the numbers are going up. Even though nuclear-armed Israel, has universal health care for their citizens and subsidized colleges for their citizens. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Here in America, we're 37 trillion in debt. Actually, now we're 38 trillion, actually closer to 39 trillion. You know what I'm saying? So you can barely even keep up. My amendment would ensure an American first Department of Defense, and that's exactly what we need. The security supplemental pushed by the Biden administration provided increased support for Israel for its Iron Dome, David Sling, and Iron Beam defense structures, among other military backing in response to the October 7th attack. Now, I'm going to play a clip from Charlie Kirk about the October 7th attack. Don't let me forget. I wish, brother, you got ripped off was here. Brother Elijah, if you are here still, don't let me forget. Please. Well, let me forget to play that clip because it goes right into this, right? So again, Biden sent more money to Israel because of the October 7th attack. Greene has altogether introduced 6 amendments to reduce foreign spending in the defense appropriations bill, a massive annual funding agreement that lawmakers must pass to fund the Pentagon's operations the following year. And let's make no mistake, the money that goes to the Pentagon often goes into a black hole, never to be seen again, and really nobody can account for it. In fact, I think they said they just did an audit. Pentagon failed audit yet again. Anyway, all of those 6 amendments failed. Only 6 members of Congress voted to withhold the $500 million after 21 months of its war in Gaza, which has left more than 58,000 Palestinians dead. Actually, it's probably closer to 250,000 Palestinians dead, right? Anyway, we're going to move forward. It says Greene's comments on the House floor were not her first criticism of Israel's hold on Washington's policymaking. In an appearance on the conservative podcaster Tucker Carlson's online show last week, her frustration with what she describes as a consistent attempt to appease Israel on Congress. She says, since I've become a member of Congress since 2021, so she hadn't even been here long and she noticed it, we have voted on 22 resolutions for Israel. We have never voted on resolutions proclaiming great things about America or defending certain Americans. Listen, I'm going to read that again. This is a white conservative woman in Congress who says, hey, man, we don't ever vote on anything or do anything for America. Look, this ain't me. You know what I'm saying? Now think about what she's saying, because right now the Congress has the majority is Republican, right? The Republican slogan is "Make America Great Again," and she said that they're not doing anything for America, right? This ain't me. Now, citing her own children. Oh, wait a minute. No, my bad. Hold up. Let's see. He said it's coming to a point where it's so obvious all the time in everyone's language, the social media posts they put out, the statements that they make. They have to proclaim Israel. They have to proclaim their faith and loyalty in Israel, she responded. It's becoming like, wait a minute, what about our own country? What about our own people? Citing her own children who are in their 20s, Greene referred to the financial struggles of young Americans. Quote unquote, they can't afford rent. They can't afford to buy a house. They can't afford insurance. They can't afford to buy a new car. They can't find a good paying job, she said. It seems hopeless for them, but then in Congress, everyone is chasing and pursuing and proclaiming their loyalty to a foreign country. Hey man, I can't argue with any of this. That makes sense. You're right. Greene has disagreed with President Donald Trump's decision to bomb Iran's nuclear sites in June and took to the online program of another leading MAGA voice, Steve Bannon, where she insisted that we're bombing Israel on behalf. I mean, we're bombing Iran on behalf of Israel. Boy, that was a slip of the tongue. If we were bombing Israel, actually, it would help. You know what I'm saying? But digress. Says Greene. Let's see. Fox News brainwashes all the baby boomers as it cheerleads U.S. wars. It's become clearer that the MAGA branch of the Republican Party is mounting an anti-war campaign that goes so far as to align itself with the progressive left. Both Carlson and Bannon, both of whom have long held the president's ear, have recently made critical views known on Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the war with Iran. If they combine millions of listeners, excuse me. I grew up in a world that espoused violence. That's what the U.S. government does, Carlson told Bannon last week. Wow. That's one way to end the article. So, all right, so check this out, right? Because they said that the money came after the October 7th thing. So let's go back in time, because I played this before, but I'm going to play it again. Let's go back in time and let us watch. Do I got it? Hold up. Do I got it or do I not got it? Wait a minute. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, I got it. Man, listen, let me play this Charlie Kirk and listen to what he says about Israel and about the whole October 7th situation.
New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. I've been to Israel many times. The whole country is a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier. Right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question.
Now, mind you, oh, my bad, that was Charlie Kirk. Wait, hold on for a minute, brothers and sisters. Excuse me, that was Charlie Kirk, right? Before his death, questioning the official story. Right? Now, I've talked about the whole Charlie Kirk situation. I'm gonna just say this. I'll just say it plainly. Do I believe Charlie Kirk was assassinated by people connected with the Israeli government? Yes, I do. Why? Because if he was beginning to have doubts, Charlie Kirk was way bigger than I knew at the time. I just put it like that. Him turning away from Israel would have been huge. And so, and he expressed his doubts, and Candace Owens discovered this stuff, and I talked about it a little bit, and now it doesn't matter because he's not breathing, right? And there's TP USA, they're still doing their thing, and they're still, doing what they're doing. But that was would have been a major crack in the MAGA versus what I'm calling MAGA, Make Israel Great Again. I actually got that from somebody, I don't remember who. But that would have been a big, huge crack in that coalition. Because we don't tend to think of these different, how can I put it? We just tend to think of the Republicans as a monolith. We just tend to think of them all as the same thing. And that's apparently not the case. And it's becoming even more readily apparent now than it has been, right? So, because most of my audience is black, you're going to ask me, DC, what does this have to do with black people? Here's the reality of the situation. It may ultimately have very little to do with black people, but it's always good to have a finger on the pulse politically of what is going on, because what do we know for a fact, right? Whenever Jewish interest comes under scrutiny by Americans, what normally happens? What normally happens, if you understand, is when Jewish interests come under scrutiny and when the majority white Americans start looking around and thinking, wait a minute, these people here have too much power / money / influence, whatever, right? Or something controversial happens where a Jewish person is involved, right? So Jeffrey Epstein is a Jewish person. You go all the way back to the murder of Mary Fagan, right? That person involved was a Jewish person. That's how the whole ADL got started, right? And and Mary Fagan in Atlanta, little Caucasian girl, brutally murdered. What happened? They originally blamed the black man, right? The sheriff did an investigation. He's like, well, nah, this is not the man that did it. And then they had a trial, and then other women came up and was like, yeah, this guy, and I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. I'm just drawing a total blank. But they're like, yeah, this guy, he was harassing me at my job, and yeah, he touched me, and he did this, and he did that, and a handful of women testified against him, right? So what happened? Okay, so eventually the crowd said, all right, well, we had enough of this trial. Take him outside and put him up on the tree. That's what happened. What happened after that, though, right? Because at that point, the face of violation of women and children, the face of that was a Jewish person. This is back in the 1910s, right? That whole ADL started because of this situation, right? Because they were like, hey, Leo Frank, thank you, brother, because I was drawing a serious blank, right? This whole Leo Frank case, which Brother Jenny talked about when he was on Jake Shields. Has that been a year now? Some months back. Maybe it's been a year. What happened after that, though? Because we forget about it. Leo Frank was the face of violation of women and children. Newspaper, y'all in the newspapers, all this stuff. What happens after that? They make Birth of a Nation. They show, and the president at the time shows it in the White House. They show the movie in the White House. And the show is white people in blackface running around trying to violate women, and the woman running from the black man and falls off a cliff and all types of stuff. So just like that, with a movie, which was a new media format, white people went from, hey, we gotta watch these folks. We gotta watch these Jewish people. Like they not on the up and up like we thought. It went from that to let's go out and attack black people. And the whole Red Summer and all that stuff started after that movie. So what's my point? Here's my point. Speaking specifically to black people, and I'm speaking to white people. So you can learn from history if you white and you listen. Whenever people in America, right? Yeah, I can't speak for other countries because in other countries, they kind of tend to just exile these people. Whenever people in America start looking around and start thinking, wait a minute, these people got all the money, they got all the power, they got all the prestige, they got the this, the that, and the other, they doing this, they stealing, they did, whatever it may be, right? Leo Frank case, prime example. The automatic response is for them to blame black people for something, right? So I'm telling y'all now, as black people, if this quote unquote anti-Semitism gets bigger, right? Where the MAGA people, and if the MAGA, like what we saw with, if that becomes something we see in society, where the MAGA people and the Muslims and random black people, like we saw with Ye and any other group of people in America, if they all start getting together and having discussions and saying, well, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with you, or I don't necessarily agree with your politics, or I don't necessarily like you, right? I don't, you know what I'm saying? If it gets to the point where those people say that, and then after that discussion, there's a but, there's a comma and a but. I don't like these people because of whatever. So, prime example, the whole Gaza thing. When the October 7th thing happened at first, most people were like, wow, that's crazy. And when Israel retaliated, it's kind of like, okay, well, whatever. And people wasn't really paying attention. Only when the pictures, the video start coming out, they start seeing that they were out here slaughtering women and children. Then people were like, hey, wait, hold up now. And then it quickly became beyond, it didn't matter what your politics were, because it became a thing of, well, do you support women and children being murdered or not? And because that's what was taking place. Like it's just, you can't sugarcoat it. That's what was happening, right? And so no one's going to publicly take that position, really. Yeah, I approve of women and children being slaughtered. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's just going to take that. Do some people think it? Yeah, of course they think, right? They believe that, but they ain't gonna say it. And then what happened is that I think a lot of like famous MAGA people looked at the fact that America was funding it, and they like, well, not only we co-signing it, we funding it, and we got our own problems here. This is kind of crazy. I can't co-sign this, right? Now, if you add the Charlie Kirk angle of where he's like, I don't even believe the official story. Like, y'all let this happen just so you can level. Like, then it becomes crazy, right? So Charlie Kirk said that, and then Charlie Kirk talked about his Israeli backers and how they trying to control him and this and this and that. And then the next thing we know, he ain't breathing, right? Which then that sends Candace Owens on a crusade to find out what happened. And then she started researching stuff, and then she started being like, all right, it's looking like it's Israel, right? We killed Charlie Kirk. That's what she says, right? She has put forth some compulsive evidence. Some compelling evidence that makes you at least have to look at how can I put it? You at least have to kind of look at it and say she might be onto something. So all of these things that I'm talking about, right, swirling around, have now caused a crack in the MAGA movement, where you have the main MAGA people, which of course the main MAGA person, President Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, as I've shown you before, bought and paid for by Sheldon Adelson, Miriam Adelson, these other people. You know, he buddy with Netanyahu and all this stuff. And then you have the people, the big names that I'm going to name, who are against Trump's being beholden to Israel. Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, missing somebody, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and somebody else I'm missing. You know, allegedly Charlie Kirk was coming to that position. And so we see the House divided. So what I wanted to do real quick, I wanted to play this Marjorie Taylor Greene clip where she is talking of, well, they asked her about something that Trump said about her. Now, remind you, this was one of Trump's staunchest supporters. So just check out how, if you want to see what it looks like, House divided looks like, just check out this clip real quick. Wait a minute. Or maybe not so quick.
Is defending his focus on foreign policy during his second term, even as he faces criticism from a former supporter. Georgia Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of his biggest allies on Capitol Hill. Now she is an outspoken critic of some of his policies and plans to leave Congress in January. Well, here's what President Trump said about her in a recent interview with Politico.
I've watched stupid people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or some people call her Taylor Greene, some people call her Taylor Brown, because green sometimes turns to brown, which isn't nice. But I've watched her say that he spends too much time on foreign. When I go on a trip, I only have one place in mind. It's the United States.
And Congresswoman Greene is joining us now live for her first CNN interview since announcing her plans to resign from the House of Representatives. Congresswoman, thanks very much for coming in. Lots going on. Yeah. This is Pamela Brown, not Pamela Greene. Just want to make that clear.
And she has a beautiful name.
She has a beautiful name.
Thank you. I'm proud of my last name.
That's right.
And your name is Greene, not Brown.
That's right.
I want to be precise. Heard there. President Trump posted yesterday that you are, quote, and I'm quoting him now, not America first or MAGA, and your, quote, new views are those of a very dumb person. That's the president of the United States speaking about you. What's your response to these latest attacks?
Well, actually, Wolf, I feel very sorry for President Trump. I genuinely do. It has to be a hard place for someone that is constantly so hateful and puts so much vitriol, name calling, and really tells lies about people in order to try to get his way or win some kind of fight. And I think that's exactly what's wrong in America today. That's what's wrong in this toxic political environment that has ripped our country apart. As a Christian, I'm not angry at the president. It's easy for me to say a prayer for him and forgive him. But the part that I have had a very hard time with is the fact that he called me a traitor And because of his words, that brought serious threats against myself and my family. We had a pipe bomb threat on my home, a pipe bomb threat on my family construction company and staff, and had multiple pizza doxings. But the serious one was the direct death threats on my son. And I think that goes beyond anyone's arguments or disagreements or politics. All of our children and our families' safety should matter to anyone, no matter if they're mad at us or disagree with us. I think that should be something we respect.
So, I mean, we see, just from that interview, I mean, we saw her just get openly attacked by the president. Now, this was one of his staunchest allies. He openly attacks her, calls her dumb and brown, and all. Y'all know, man, he's so petty, man. Like, this dude, man. How old is Trump? Like 75? I didn't know you could be that petty at 75 years old, man. It's really hilarious because I don't consider myself American, but if I consider myself an American, it'd be embarrassing, being completely honest. But yeah, so that's what you get when you roll with Trump. So let me read this article real quick, right? You roll with him and then you roll against him, and you gonna get clowned. This is a terrible picture, by the way. But anyway, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene questions if Trump is still America's first president. 10 months into Donald Trump's second term, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has positioned herself as a surprising critic of the administration's policies and as a torchbearer for the America First agenda that she believes the president has drifted away from. She told NBC News in recent interviews. Greene, who has long been one of his most outspoken allies, said that Trump personally inspired her to run for Congress in Georgia in 2022 and described her political identity as rooted in his promise to represent what she calls the forgotten man and woman of America. Yeah, so much for that. That was me, she told Tucker Carlson recently, recalling how she saw Trump's campaign as a referendum to the Republican Party on behalf of the American people that were just so sick of Washington, D.C. Well, if you were sick then, you're ill now. Anyway, now Greene finds herself at the center of a divide inside the Republican Party over how deeply the U.S. should involve itself abroad. As surveys show, the state of the economy is the top of the mind for many Americans following a round of elections that focused on affordability. Now, mind you, Trump has recently said that he said affordability is a Democratic hoax. Let me stop right here, bro. I wish I had that clip, but I wasn't thinking about it. You are messing up politically. I don't care who you are, when you disregard how people feel about the economy. I'm going to quote old redneck James Carville, who said, very simply, it's the economy, stupid. Like that. That's his political advice. It's the economy, stupid. And most often, not all the time, but most often, when people vote and they look in their pantry, if your pantry is empty and your check is small, and especially if you see, a large chunk of stuff being taken out of your check, FICA and all that other stuff, and you don't have what you need, hey man, all them loyalties and all that stuff and who you normally vote for and who you cool with, a lot of that stuff gets thrown out the window when you can't pay your bills and then your taxes is high, and then the president that you think that you voted for is sitting around talking about what do you say, that affordability is a Democratic hoax. Hey man, ain't nobody trying to hear that, man. Just being completely honest. So on this one, I'm just be honest, Trump is lunching. He's fumbling badly. You do not make fun of people's economic pain after running as a populist. I don't get it. Before the brother, you got ripped off. So that's why people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are like, hey, this dude is tripping. But let me get back to this article. Now, it says the dispute underscores a broader rift over whether Trump's presidency still reflects the populist message that powered his rise. I'm going to say no. Right? And it reflects a MAGA movement preparing for a future without Trump at the top of the ticket, with the next generation of leaders figuring out where to take the base he built. On Friday night, just hours after this article was published, Trump decided he had had enough. He went on social media and said he was withdrawing his endorsement of Greene. He said, while the U.S. is now the hottest country anywhere in the world, all I see is wacky Marjorie dude is complain. And Trump is a comedian, man. He's not a politician. Anyway, Trump also accused her of going far left and suggested that her criticism of him was personal because he didn't think she should run for senator or governor. He also said he was open to supporting another Republican primary challenger to Greene. Now, this was before she announced that she won't be running for re-election, right? So basically, he threatened to primary her. And if Trump is threatening to primary her, the money is going to come from who? The Israel lobby. Plain and simple. So we don't even, well, here's what we know. She is criticizing Trump because she thinks he's focused too much on Israel. She voted against Israel. Some of Israel's money wasn't that much because they were getting billions more. They were getting 8.7 billion. She just voted against 500 million, right? Small chunk of change. And then next thing you know, Trump is like, yeah, I wouldn't mind if you got out of here. Who runs Mr. Trump, right? We got the Epstein files. We got Netanyahu, who we know ain't afraid to remove people from the planet. We know what this is, right? We know what this is. She knows what this is. And so once Mr. Trump basically like threatened her, she's like, all right, I ain't running no more. And that's how that went. So let's look at it, right? We just take it. We just count it up. So we have Charlie Kirk, who said, hey, man, I don't believe the official story on the October 7th thing. He ain't breathing, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, hey, man, I think Trump focuses too much on Israel. Next thing you know, as we just saw from the video, she's getting threatened and she's not running anymore. And, of course, Candace Owens, she's been saying what she's been saying as far as the Charlie Kirk thing. And she announced that France and Israel are combining to take her out. You know what I'm saying? So while as black people, we might sit over here and get our popcorn and like, oh, look at them fighting. Yeah, that's cool, right? However, as I said before, we have to be prepared for if this movement that used to be within MAGA, if this anti-Israel movement becomes a thing and becomes big, and it becomes a thing where the people on the quote-unquote left and the people on the quote-unquote right come together and say, you know what, I don't agree with you on anything except this Israel thing. And if they take it from Israel to America, and people start saying, not only is Israel got too much juice, but we got too many people who are pro-Israel here. And I just realized that the reason they're pro-Israel because they dual citizens. And you know what? We got an American Israel problem, or Israeli American problem, or however you want to put it. If that happens, make no mistake, some type of either one or two things is going to happen. Either a false flag is going to happen, or some type of way black people are going to be blamed for something catastrophic in America. So the false flag might actually have black people in it some type of way, whether it is whether it's like they use some Somalis or Ethiopians or whoever, right? And blame it on black Americans. So that's why I'm saying we should pay attention to this, because as I said with the Leo Frank case, we've seen this before. White people mad at Jewish people for something that Jewish people actually did. Jewish people flip it and make it black people's fault. I'm just saying, watch out for that play, because it's in their bag. How How they gonna finesse it? I don't know. So what I want to do real quick, there was another video. Oh yeah, I played this before, but I want to play this AIPAC video so people can know what AIPAC is, and then I'm going to run the Lost Tapes commercial and another commercial I haven't, and then I'll come back. So y'all just stick with me and check out this. For those who, I know basically everybody knows who AIPAC is now, but I thought it was good to see a refresher on this.
Israel accused of committing genocide in Gaza thanks to US weapons, political support and funding. A lot of people are asking, just why is the US so staunchly pro-Israel? Well, the answer isn't all that simple, but a big part of the conversation is a particular lobby group called the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC. Its mission: to push pro-Israel policies in the US and get politicians to vote for them. It's donated to most of the current members of the US Congress, funding 342 out of all 535. Records show that it's the biggest spending campaign group when it comes to representing a foreign interest in domestic US politics, and AIPAC is spending big on getting its favoured candidates elected. Take this tweet about the Democratic congressional primary in Illinois. AIPAC is taking credit for the defeat of candidate Keena Collins. Collins is a community organizer and lifelong anti-gun violence activist. She also called Israel's war on Gaza genocide. AIPAC spent hundreds of thousands of dollars funding attack ads to kill her campaign, which she lost. So how did AIPAC become the most prominent foreign affairs lobby group in the US? It fundraises through glittering annual galas where both Democrats and Republicans scramble to secure speaking spots.
The U.S.-Israel relationship is special and strong.
After all, AIPAC prides itself on being nonpartisan. AIPAC boasts a long list of rich backers who it traditionally uses to funnel money to its preferred candidates and also to donate to pro-Israel Washington think tanks to influence Middle East policy. Remember when former US President Donald Trump Jerusalem as the Israeli capital and moved the embassy there? Or when he tore up the Iran nuclear deal? Yes, AIPAC. Or the $300 billion in mostly military aid the US has sent Israel since its founding? Also AIPAC. Its army of lobbyists has unfettered access to officials in Congress. This is where it has traditionally focused its energy and money. You might have seen video of pro-Palestinian activists talking to AIPAC lobbyists.
While you're having your lunch, just think about the children in Gaza who are starving.
AIPAC also bankrolls politicians' trips to Israel.
Hello from Israel!
Here are 24 House Democrats last year taking in the sights. Archaeological ruins, the old city, supposed Hezbollah smuggling tunnel.
It's pretty surreal to actually go down there.
Well, some American voters might think it also surreal that AIPAC's most recent winning strategy pits Democrat against Democrat. It spent $50 million on the 2022 midterms, including more than $17 million in direct donations, and it spent double on Democrats than on Republicans, successfully helped defeat 13 candidates who AIPAC claims would have undermined the US-Israel relationship. Don't take my word for it. It's all written here in AIPAC's Political Achievements fact sheet. It's expected to spend $100 million on this year's election. But it isn't acting alone. It set up a big money affiliate called the United Democracy Project, which also spent money to defeat Keena Collins in Illinois and is now funding attack ads against members of the Squad, the young progressive group of Democrats, which includes the sole Palestinian-American member of Congress, Rashida Tlaib. In November, 22 of her fellow Democrats joined Republicans in voting to censure Tlaib because she used the pro-Palestinian phrase, from the river to the sea. At least 18 of those Democrats received donations from AIPAC. As the Israel lobby slogan goes, being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics.
Now, we're going to go and talk about AIPAC. What is AIPAC? The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC. What does AIPAC do? AIPAC is the gangster with a whole lot of money that says, I'm gonna buy you and pay you money, and you're gonna make decisions that I want you to make. You're gonna do as I tell you, because I got my hands in your pockets. And they attached to people like Jeffrey Epstein, who take videos of the people that are supposed to be our representatives, and as they take those videos, they hold them hostage and say, vote as I tell you to vote. Do as I tell you to do.
I didn't even, the concept. I saw Naeem Akbar talking that black talk he gave, and I was out there telling everybody, yo, this dude gay. You remember back in the 90s, people hated me. Oh, this dude gay, man, we can't do this. You can't be up there talking black and be gay too. I was like, okay, he out the way. No, we're not doing this. I'm saying this because I did not imagine a time, little old me from Southeast, where if they tell us to take a jab, stick ourselves, I'm gonna be the only one that wanna say something. Maybe the brother out in Whitaker, brother Darren, you know, we got a few brothers, but I'm talking about like, I'm thinking whatever they tell us to do, we got black people who studied under these people, we gonna say no. Or we gonna at least wanna investigate. I'm thinking it'll always be that way. I'm thinking if somebody's pushing this stuff, R. Kelly molesting children, we're gonna deal with this dude. I'm thinking everybody's gonna agree with that, because you don't mess with children.
That's right.
That's what I thought was, that's just how I thought we were. And that is who we are intrinsically, but I'm saying, I didn't imagine a world where I'm saying, don't vote for this dude. It's a trick. Come on, y'all. He's a mulatto who didn't grow up around black people. He a gay dude. He gonna push homosexuality. Y'all can't see this? I'm thinking, I'm telling y'all before he get in office, what are you talking about? And people who are the hardest nosed people in African nationalism, I mean the hard ones, looking at me, nah, you can't do that, dude. Y'all don't see this? I'm actually the only one that's gonna say, yo, you don't see. And then when he gets in and does what I say he does, okay, I saw. You messed up the first time. Okay, I saw. I'm thinking, okay, but now he going back for office. He done already made gay marriage legal. All right, now you get it. The dude, I told you he was a punk, he was a gump in the beginning. I still couldn't conceive. No, dude, if you're looking for somebody else to do it, you ain't studied the lessons of history. When you're passionate and pulled to do something and can't stop, it's a message being given to you. Ain't nobody coming. You gotta believe in yourself, because somebody decided that you was supposed to do something. So you can't turn it off and stop looking for people. You just gotta do what you do. We looked in the past, 1972. I was born in 1973. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm 50 in December. A year before I got here, they must have known I was coming. They said, let's get this thing out here now before you get here. Rights platform of 1972. This is just official document, sharing information. If you go look that up online for yourself. They're making it difficult to find. I don't know if people have been noticing this, but things that you used to easily go and put it on the internet and find them, you can't find this stuff no more. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff you can't find. But I'm gonna bring your attention to just one. It's a bunch of stuff, all of it's aimed at children. Sex education of children, adoption, gay adoption of children. But there's one that's most important for what we're talking about today. And they break it down from the federal level and the state level. On the state level, they say every single state, they want laws repealing all laws governing the age of sexual consent. I'm gonna say that again. They want the repeal of all laws governing the age of sexual consent. Meaning a newborn baby, they want it to be legal to have sexual contact
with a newborn baby. What year did I say? 1972. That's 51 years ago. Fast forward 21 years from then to 1993. In the interest of producing that result, they had right downtown, 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes if there's no traffic, go right up here East Capitol, go all the way up the road, you run right into it. They had the 1993 Gay Rights March on Washington. Let's see what that was about.
Check one.
All right. Did y'all hear what they just said? Do I need to play that again? He said, don't play it again. He said, no, thank you. All right, I want to do this again. They said, we're young, we're queer. We're going to do what? We're going to rule the world. Now remember, 21 years before that, what did they say that they wanted for children? Repeal all laws governing the age of sexual consent. They want to have sex with children and make it totally legalized. 21 years after they said that, they said, we're young, we're queer, we're going to rule the world. That was in 93. This is 30 years after that. So they've had 30 years to say, we're queer, we're going to rule the world, which at that point they said, we haven't gotten to the point where we rule the world, because if they did, they wouldn't be saying that. They would say, we're young, we're queer, and we rule the world. They didn't say that. We're young, we're queer, we're going to rule the world and have it our way.
All right, we are back from our break, and brother, you got ripped off. Just let me know, because I'm trying to get off here right around 8. Let me know when we're close to that time. So, as we see, our brother Jeannie is right on time with that. Talking about it. By the way, if you like to purchase the lost tapes, you email me at dc.radical_1@protonmail.com. Any single video is $25. The whole set's $100. So that's something that you can only get here. That's almost, I think, the last public lectures that the brother has done. So they do hold historical value, and he goes into a lot of things that we're still talking about, even though he did, I think the first one he did 2 years ago, but we're still dealing with the problem, right? And so he talks about that there. Now, moving forward, I wanted to get to Nick Fuentes real quick, right? Because he's been hot. He's on Piers Morgan. And, real quick, let me read this, or read part of this, because apparently just now the House passed a $900 billion bill that would, according to the New York Times, I just got a notification for this. So it says the House on Wednesday approved $900 billion defense policy bill that would give U.S. troops a raise and codify much of Trump's national security agenda. It also seeks to curb his pullback from Europe and mandate more Pentagon consultation with Congress, including sharing unedited videos of attacks on suspected drug boats that officials have so far been unwilling to share with lawmakers. The bill next goes to the Senate. Okay. All right. So that just took place. Of course, since that just went off while the commercial was on, I can only imagine what's in there for Israel. What you say, brother? A Kwanzaa special? No, it's not. That's the. You got jokes. Nah, that's not a Kwanzaa special. That's funny though. So, yeah, Congress has passed some more money for defense, and it'll be interesting to see how much money of that money is going to Israel. All right, so let's take a look at this article with Nick Fuentes real quick, see what they're talking about. Because y'all know I don't read the articles, I just pick them, and then I read them. We read them together. Says Tucker Carlson's interview with the activist revealed the mainstream right is being flooded by quote-unquote extremism, and is now impossible to contain. This is from J. Oliver Conroy. It's a British name. This is I don't know. I think this was from The Guardian. I think. Anyway, let's see. Says five days a week, thousands of fans gather online to watch Nick Fuentes hold court about the dangers of non-white immigration, feminism, and organized Jewry. Okay. Man, I'm just sitting here laughing. I'm like, boy, you got strange allies nowadays. People that you can sit around and agree with on a lot of stuff, even if you don't consider them allies. Anyway, says usually dressed in a dark suit and tie, he lectures to his far-right followers, known as groypers. And does anybody know where the groyper thing came from? Because it's really kind of weird sounding to me. I mean, groypers and grapers is like close, so I don't know. He said, how is Trump excoriated for his illegal bombing? But Obama actually was questioned. There were people. Obama got questioned from the what they call the far left. Here's what I noticed about politics in general, right? If you're from the party of the current president and you question their policy, especially foreign policy, because seemingly 9 out of 10 of foreign policy got something to do with Israel, not 10 out of 10, but 9 out of 10, then you get labeled the extremist or far right or far left. That's what I noticed. As soon as you start questioning that foreign policy, all of a sudden you just get exiled to that extremist wing. And I've been noticing that for years. So yeah, there was people that question Obama, but they usually get silenced, just like people question Bush. I mean, it's been privy to those circles, but yeah, it's always the case. They just don't get you. Once you make that position known, then your voice is pretty much silenced. It was easier to do back then because social media wasn't as big as it is now. Anyway, so let's see. He lectures to his far-right followers, known as groypers, about what he argues is the insufficient radicalism of Donald Trump's Republican Party and what he describes as the perfect. You know what? I don't think I've ever seen this word in print. So we're not going to butcher it anymore, of the state of Israel and its American supporters. Fuentes' fixation on Israel is not rooted in concern about the war in Gaza, but a belief in his telling that Jews are responsible for most of the society's problems. Again, this is Nick Fuentes, who says Jews are responsible for most of American society's problems. This is not me saying this. This is Nick Fuentes, who said, according to this article, I'll read it slowly, that Jews are responsible for most of society's problems. So if you want to know why he's an extremist, That's why. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. That's the reason, right? He's considered controversial. Now, Fuentes, who is 27 and lives in Illinois, has called Adolf Hitler really effing cool and compared the Holocaust to the baking of the baking of cookies. He wilding out here. That's crazy, bro. What? Okay, this dude. Wow. Okay, that's wow. Okay, man. What in the world? Anyway. Despite that, and despite having said that Republican Vice President J.D. Vance is a race traitor for marrying an Indian American woman, hey man, I mean, he got a point. Anyway, Fuentes has ascended in recent weeks from the intellectual but unacknowledged outer dark of the American right to a position within striking distance of the mainstream Republican Party. He has been interviewed on several major platforms in rapid succession, culminating in a friendly 2-hour chat last month on Tucker Carlson's popular online talk show. He and Carlson discussed a variety of subjects, including their shared dislike of Christian Zionists. Fuentes also said casually that he was a fan of Joseph Stalin. He might want to look deeper into Stalin, that's all I'm going to say. The result of that interview has been a bitter and widening civil war within the American right, which has exposed long-standing fissures between conservatives and populists, Zionists and Israel skeptics, mainstream MAGA right and far right, as well as revealed to the extent to which a Republican Party that has been flooded in recent years by quote-unquote extremists now seems unable to contain them, or even agree if it should. A power struggle already underway inside many right-wing organizations people familiar told me has now spilled out into the open. After Tucker Carlson interviewed Fuentes, some Republican politicians, including Senators Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz. Man, Ted Cruz is the most pro-Israel. Like Ted Cruz, he talk about bending over, giving evil opening. Like he probably doesn't even want to even be American. He probably wants to be, I mean, you talk about a sellout. Man, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think that there were white sellouts. Peace of Brother Dawood. But Ted Cruz is the example of a white sellout. Like he's totally in the bag for Israel. He doesn't even pretend anymore. And the fact that he's in Congress, bro, you got ripped off. Said that JD Vance's wife is Telugu Jewish. She's not actually standard American Indian. Which, hey man, I wish somebody did a video of that so I could just put up a video so it'd be easier to explain. But yeah, the more you know. Anyway, I said pressure also built on the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank with personal and commercial ties to Tucker Carlson, to distance itself from him. Instead, the foundation's president, Kevin Roberts, issued a video statement which noted that while anti-Semitism should be condemned, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class. A venomous coalition, he said, was trying to cancel Carlson. Okay, I didn't know that. So, okay, that means that he riding with his boy. I can respect that. This delighted Fuentes. The Heritage Foundation was the brain of the conservative movement, he correctly told his viewers on a recent evening, whose policy ideas and talking points are sort of like the gospel for Republicans in the U.S. Congress. It's a big deal. Staff from the Heritage Foundation often go to work for Republican legislators and draft federal law. Roiperism, he argued, was now inside the institutions. So that, I mean, it just shows you that there is a divide, because there's definitely been a push to attack Tucker Carlson, and I didn't know that the Heritage Foundation had backed him up. So I mean, this fight, this divide, this battle, I think it's just getting started. I think it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get bigger. We're gonna see a lot of stuff happening. Brother, you got ripped off. Says Nick Fuentes and Stu Peters are riding on the coattails of those involved in the JP cooperative movement. This is a fact. Like, there are people who have been exiled from the mainstream who basically have given how can I put it? They set in motion what the Stu Peters, Nick Fuentes, to a lesser degree Tucker Carlson's and what's her name? The young lady, the black woman. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What they have done. Like, other people had already put that in motion, and they're riding off of that. So, but good for them, you know. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Nick Fuentes, yeah, Candace Owens, thank you, brother. I want to play this if it'll play. So y'all let me know, because I meant to test it out, but I didn't. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear this as I play it, and if not, then it'd be disappointing, but it is par for the course. But this is from Nick Fuentes's Rumble page, and I found it interesting because what he says in it. So I'm gonna play this, and y'all let me know whether or not you can hear it as I play it. All right, so I just saw the brother here, but can y'all see the Can y'all read the what you call it, the subtitles that's going across? Because if not, then so let me summarize basically what he was saying, right? Since y'all can't hear, which is, I figured might happen, but I was disappointed. Basically, Nick Fuentes, you can go to his Rumble page and check this out. And this is like it's a long subtitles were small. That's unfortunate, but I might let this section play out anyway. But I'm just gonna give a basically, because this is the part. This is why it caught me off guard, right? Because I was looking for some information from him, and he basically said he gave Obama credit for coming up with the whole situation for the limit Iran. And then he said that the Israelis were mad and they funded Trump so that he could reverse that agreement, the Iranian agreement to limit their use of uranium and limit their use of a bomb. So he said that Israel, that's why they funded Trump's first election, right? Which he said they worked behind the scenes to make that happen. I didn't see that. I didn't see that play on the board, right? And then he goes on to say that they killed Soleimani, which we have talked about before on a show probably a year ago, for Israel, that was done for Israel. So he say, this is Nick Fuentes, is saying that Trump was in Israel's pocket from the beginning. And basically, that's his basic contention, which I did not see. So the whole watching the video caught me off guard because I was like, first of all, him giving Obama credit for something is wild. You know what I'm saying? That was the first thing. But then when he was like, nah, Trump been in their pocket and this is why they helped him get elected and this and that. Because I always wondered, I was like, why is the media complaining about Trump, but they're giving him free airtime? So bad mouthing him, and I've talked about this before, bad mouthing him doesn't make sense if you're going to just give him free airtime and let him say whatever he wants to say. And so I always wondered about that. But now with him saying, with Nick Fuentes saying what he's saying, it's kind of like, oh, wow. So let's just be frank. I don't think there's been an American president. I've said this before. I'll say this again. I could be wrong, but I'm going to say this. You know, people may point to Nixon. I don't know. I don't think there's been an American president since John F. Kennedy. That's all I'm going to say. You like, well, what about all the other presidents? I'm saying all the other presidents have been working for a foreign lobby, mostly Israel, in one way or another. And increasingly, as we get closer to the modern day, the closer we get to the modern day, the more people are in the pocket and under the control of Israel. Now, I may make an exception for Richard Nixon because Richard Nixon sounded the alarm and talked to Billy Graham about the influence of Israel's lobby. That was in 1969 or 70 or something like that, like 50 years ago. So maybe you could say he was the last, but the point being, right? So I'm gonna let the rest of this run. The section I want to show. Hopefully you all can see the subtitles, and if not, I can't include the link because this is a small part of something like a 4-hour cast. But anyway, we're going to move forward with this this little part. Man, so wow. He's comparing the Iran thing to Iraq, to Libya, to Syria, to Afghanistan, to I don't even know what else. So that man. That's his contention. And so if you extrapolate from what he's saying there with the forever wars, and you basically get to the point where America is being bled for blood and treasure to fight the wars for an ally that contributes nothing to America. Like that's the end game of Nick Fuentes' discussion here, right? Let's see, brothers in arms said a lot of people don't know how the Jewish billionaires play a big part. Here's what here's what's deep, right? I remember I went and looked at the AI, and I was trying to look up the percentage of US billionaires who happen to be Jewish, right? Because to me, it seemed like it's just it's like the percentages seem extremely high. Man, that AI just was not going to give me that information, and was so busy telling me that there was no correlation in it. And I'm just like, hey, I'm just asking a question. I'm saying that there seemed to be because again, we're past the realm of millionaires. Like, it's hard to become a millionaire in America. Becoming a billionaire without connections is almost impossible. Like, there's no amount of intelligence, hard work, happenstance, luck to becoming a billionaire. Because think about it, right? Let's think about it. It's almost impossible to win the lottery, right? The highest the lottery gets most of the time is right around $1 billion. That's the highest, like the Powerball and the the Mega Millions. That's the highest they get. You go up here, right, and win the Mega Millions. Let's say you the luckiest person on earth. You happy, you excited, and all that. But what's the first thing they do? The first thing they do is they tax. So even if let's say you're a business person and you brilliant and all this, and you get this windfall, you still right lose 2/3 of your wealth. So you still basically have to make, let's say, 660 million with the resources you have to get to the billionaires club. So how is it possible for a large percentage of a small percentage of people who make up like 2%, 2.5% of the population? How is it possible for a large percentage of a small percentage of people to be billionaires when it's almost impossible for it to happen to anyone? Come on, man. Let's just look at the mathematical probabilities of this thing, and it just doesn't make any sense unless something unspoken is happening, right? I mean, you look at the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Jeff Bezoses and the Sergey Brins and on and on and on, that whole tech bro crew. Is it an accident? Is it a coincidence? Or is something else going on? And here's what's deep. I was talking to a sister yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, I'm not sure, right? And I was telling her, I said, what people don't understand is that Ronald Reagan was an actor. Ronald Reagan was a part of Hollywood. Who was Hollywood owned by? Okay, we don't have to say that. We know who founded Hollywood. We call the empire of their own. You can read it or you can watch it, and then you will have an idea, right? So Ronald Reagan comes out that system. Ronald Reagan becomes a politician. I told y'all the story that Ronald Reagan was talking to some little children when the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense came and make their declaration at the State House in Sacramento. Okay, cool. Now, Ronald Reagan goes on to become the president of the United States after being the governor of California. And what does he do when he comes there? He comes with an anti-tax policy and a so-called smaller government policy championed by a man named Milton Friedman. What kind of name is Friedman? He's an economist. An economist named Milton Friedman. And Ronald Reagan implements his tax policies, and that becomes the standard policy for tax and spending in the government from 1980 forward. This is how different and backwards it was. This is what's crazy. When they were running against each other, George Herbert Walker Bush called the Milton Friedman policy that, they start calling it trickle down economics or whatever, but the technical term is supply side economics. George Herbert Walker Bush called it voodoo economics. Now, Europeans don't like no voodoo. He dismissed it. He said this is madness. And yet now it's the standard. And now here's what's deep. Now you can't get anyone to pass what they would call a progressive tax policy that would tax the people that have the most money, the highest rate. Now that makes just perfect logical sense when you think about it. If you have the most money and we are going in debt, you have the most to give. Now here's the thing. If you look at it, America wasn't in a lot of debt when Reagan was in office. But after Reagan left office, what happened? You started having wars where? You start having wars in the Middle East. Well, what's the Middle East? As far as the Zionists are concerned, that's just the people surrounding them. So we started having wars with Israel's neighbors, right? We're paying for it. And if you look at a chart, you can see that the debt that America goes in basically starts with fighting wars for Israel, right? So a lot of people don't look at that. So what happens? Once you go in debt, what happens? What they start saying, people in the government start saying what? We can't afford fill in the blanks. We can't afford health care. We can't afford welfare. We can't afford you name it. All the progressive policies that FDR put in. You can't afford none of that. All right. Okay, cool. But you can't afford to send your money to Israel. Not only that, but people never look at the fact that the Trilateral Commission, Brzezinski was part of the Trilateral Commission. So when Reagan started sending American jobs out of America, that was because of the Trilateral Commission. Well, Zbigniew Brzezinski, y'all know who he is, right? So what I'm saying is all of these things are interconnected, and we've been watching the dismantling. Thank you, brother. The dismantling of America from the inside out, while no one is paying attention or willing to call it out. So what's happening now is that people like Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, and others are starting to call it out. And now you have other people who used to be aligned with them, like Ted Cruz. Like Ted Cruz went on Tucker Carlson's show. Ted Cruz is a Christian Zionist. Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson basically sat around and had an argument about whether or not the Bible says that Christians must support Israel. That's where we're at. And brother said they can afford to send billions to Israel and Ukraine. Yeah. Oh, brother, yeah. You haven't been here. I'm glad you're here. Go back into some of my shows. Go back into the archives, and you'll find out what Ukraine really is. Ukraine is part of the Greater Israel Project. And, Zelensky happens to be Jewish, and a large migration has been taking place of Israelis going into Ukraine in the middle of the war, right? That's taking place right now. So there is no happenstance why that war is there, right? Victoria Nuland helped instigate that war along with the CIA. Victoria Nuland happens to be a dual citizen. So all of these things are taking place, right? And so now that has caused a rift in the MAGA movement. And I'm just waiting to see whether people on different sides of the political platform come to the realization that, yeah, the whole left-right thing, you can argue that all you want, but both sides are controlled, right? Both sides are controlled. Both sides are controlled by the same group. AIPAC is one wing, or one tentacle. You know what I'm saying? But it's bigger than AIPAC because AIPAC has different groups that they fund. So it's almost like a hydra. In fact, that's what it's like. It's like a hydra. And one thing that, at least for black people, that a lot of black people I haven't heard talk about, and you saw it in the video I showed earlier, AIPAC has been attacking black, especially on the left, black politicians on the left, been attacking them and taking them out for years, and nobody will call them out on it. And if you look at Jeffries, who's a disgrace to his family, because I've met his uncle, Leonard Jeffries, multiple times. I have a fondness for him, even though I saw him a couple of times in DC, and he saw the way I was dressed and looked at me. He was like, brother, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, like, brother, are you Asian? I'm like, no, Bob, I'm not Asian, bro. I'm coming from work, Bob, But yeah, Leonard Jeffries, man, he's totally in bed with AIPAC. It's disgusting. Because here's what's deep, right? Jewish people threatened to kill, the Jewish Defense League, in fact, threatened to kill his uncle, Leonard Jeffries, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, back in the 80s. At the same time, where they were threatening Dr. Tony Martin, and they called themselves threatening Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, but Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad walked up right up to the JDL, punched the dude in the mouth, knocked him smooth out, and said, and that's how you do it, and walked away, and ain't nobody do nothing except try to get that man some assistance. Yeah, that's what Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, that's how he handled the Jewish Defense League. Knocked him cool, smooth out. Yeah, that really happened. That really happened. So I say all that to say that we are, it appears that we're in a crossroads in America. And here's the deal. Either A, various groups of people are going to start comparing notes, right? And we've seen some of this, like when Brother Irritated Jenny went on Jake Shields and they started talking about certain stuff. It was a lot of information that Jake Shields didn't know. Like, he didn't know about the Leo Frank thing, right? He didn't know about there were some things about Marcus Garvey. He didn't know. He said he didn't know anything about Marcus Garvey. He started looking into Marcus Garvey. It's like, wait a minute, why haven't I heard of this guy, right? Because here's what's deep. This is how crazy stuff is. One of Marcus Garvey's somebody that he like chatted with and consulted with was a staunch white nationalist, and they came to the conclusion that, hey man, look, we ain't got to be friends or buddies or nothing like that, but let's just be realistic. If this integration thing kicks off, this is not good for either one of us. This was way before. This is why this probably the time Marcus Garvey is being attacked by the NAACP. Now, what did everybody forget about the NAACP? NAACP was a Jewish organization. Malcolm X talked about this in the Message to the Grassroots. Right? So the whole thing in a nutshell is, if black people in America and white people in America and even Hispanic people, well, I haven't heard them say anything about any of this stuff, but then I don't speak Spanish, so it could be a language barrier thing. And maybe even some Asians, I don't know, whoever else. If we all start comparing notes, it'll be the same thing like I've said for years about black people around the world. One of the main things that happens with black people around the world is we never compare notes. Like, a lot of black people talk about Africans not knowing about slavery, and they don't. But you want to know what? There's a lot of people in America that don't know anything about colonialism. You have black people being like, how come they didn't come and get us? How? When they being enslaved on their own land, it's just called colonialism. We inspired them. Be before they, brother. Be safe. We inspired them to wrestle their freedom from being colonized. So how are they gonna help us? That's what people get confused. That's why it's important to compare notes. That's why I hate to say it, but a lot of times that's why it's important to go to other countries so you can talk to the people that wasn't even allowed to come into America for you to be able to compare the notes. Because the people that they send into America a lot of times are the coons in their own country. Whether it's people who were working with the U.S. government in Afghanistan or Iraq or places like that, those people are considered traitors in their own country. That's why they're here. But what makes you think they don't do that with black countries? So the same way that black people need to compare notes with other black people around the world, the real black people, it's the same way Americans, let's just be honest, regardless of our political affiliations, need to compare notes and look at what's going on. Because I'm going to be honest, if we can't agree on nothing else, I think most Americans can agree that the money that's being sent to Israel could be spent in America and help Americans. Whether now the argument is going to be which Americans, whatever. Could it help veterans? Yes. Could it help poor people? Yes. Could it help the homeless? Yes. Could it help with health care? Yes. Could it help the elderly? Yes. It could help all of that. Could it be used some way to lower prices? I don't know, but I know one thing. If somebody said you can take this money from Israel and put it back in America at a lower price, I bet you nobody won't argue against it. Nobody. Right? But that's why I wanted to bring this to the attention of black people and to let non-black people know that we're watching. We see you. We see some of you all are taking on the fight. We respect that. And if any people are open for some real dialogue on the real problem, this is one of the places you can come. Ain't many. I'm gonna be honest. There's not a lot of black people having these type of discussions. But this is one of the places you can come, and we can have some real honest dialogue, right? Because let's be honest. Eventually, that deficit will either collapse the American economy, or there's going to have to be some reset of the economy that deals with bank digital currencies and the digital ID. And once that's implemented, it's over, and the Palantir thing gets put into place. Once that's in place, it's over. Ain't no more America. Ain't no more freedom. Ain't no more rights. Ain't no more none of that. And from where I'm standing, this is 2026, about to be 2026. We got at most 6 years left to fight against all of that stuff. And let's be honest, to staunch religious Zionists, all non-Jews are simply goyim. They don't make no delineation. They don't care. Right? Like, we can argue amongst ourselves all we want. And do we have grievances with other people? Absolutely. We got grievances with everybody. We got grievances. I mean, we got grievances. We have some grievances even with Native Americans, if we've been honest. Right? But if we're being real, if we're going to be here in America, Americans of all different religious persuasions and all this, and racial persuasions and political persuasions and all this, are going to have to come to grips with the real problem, or not. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. You know? So it's interesting that the break in MAGA has been more public than on the left, but the same discussions I had on the left. In fact, I was on Threads today, and there were some black women trying to pump up Jasmine Crockett, and people just came out of nowhere. It's like, wait a minute, we're not co-signing her because she's pro-Israel. And I just observed and I looked at the stuff, and the black women didn't get it. They didn't understand. They were like, these people are bots. Nah, this is what's happening. Being anti-Israel is going to be a litmus test for both parties moving forward. It's why Kamala Harris lost, and it's why people on the right are mad at Trump. This is the political litmus test going forward, and it's really just beginning. And I'm gonna be honest, if this economy keeps going like it's going, and people are really struggling, because it's white people living in their cars, so don't think it's just black people struggling now and white people struggling. So if things continue the way they are, right, some heads are going to roll, whether politically or in reality. And I'm just telling black people, be on the lookout, and don't go just co-signing pro-Israeli mumbo jumbo, because they're going to try to flip the script and blame us for whatever random shenanigans that they got going. All right. I mean, I'm just letting you know, and I'm telling non-black people, look, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. That's all I'm saying. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the propaganda, because it's coming. It's coming. And I know y'all so used to just hating black people. I know it's written in your DNA right now, and that's all well and good. Like, we can deal with that later, but focus on the problem, because there is definitely, without a doubt, a problem. So again, this is The Center. I'm your host, DC Radical 1. You can follow me on Instagram at dc.radical1, on Twitter at dc_radical_one, on OTW2, which is a black-owned platform, at DC Radical 1. If you found value in this discussion, you can help support the channel via Cashapp, $ DC Radical 1, or via Zelle at dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. Also, you can email me at the same place, dc.radical_1 at protonmail.com. And we plan to be on tomorrow, 6 o'clock. That will be for SBL talk. Weirdly enough, I still do not have a topic for discussion. So you can shoot me an email, or if you want to leave it on, in the comments of this video or another video, you can do that. So with that, brothers, sisters, friends, and enemies, I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all in approximately 22 hours or so. About 22 hours or so. And I thank everybody. Oh, well, I got one more announcement real quick. December 21st, which is not this Sunday, but next Sunday, if you are in the DMV area, Straight Black Pride Movement will be celebrating Dr. Chancellor Williams Day. We will be out at Dr. Chancellor Williams' site, and we will have the ceremony there. The ceremony will probably be about half an hour. So what we're going to do is about 10:30 to about 12:30, and the flyer is up on the channel, by the way. But from about 10:30 to 12:30, we'll be at the Southeast Busboys and Poets, the one in Anacostia, the Anacostia Busboys and Poets. Then we're going to go there to the gravesite of Dr. Chancellor Williams, where we'll have a ceremony honoring him. And of course, Dr. Chancellor Williams is the author of The Destruction of Black Civilization, which is a seminal book that all Black people should read. So again, that flyer is up on the channel. I'll probably repost it again. And it's been sent out on the email list as well. So with that, brothers and sisters, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and come back tomorrow if you can for SBL talk with myself, and hopefully Sister Najee will join me as well. So with that, brothers and sisters, I say Habibi Faudier and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical, the number 1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cashapp is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. Habibi Faudier and straight black pride.